What's up? It is August 19th, 2025. We live in Connecticut. My name is Crystal, and I'm going to be doing a garden tour today of our vegetable garden that we grow next to our house. If you are new to our channel, hi. We live in Connecticut in the southeastern portion of the state. Technically, it is zone 6B. This is our sixth grow season at this location, and we love it so very much. We don't have one of those very nice, neat gardens where it's all beautiful raised beds. We do not have that. We have an eclectic, chaotic garden that brings me so much joy and keeps things interesting. I grow things in fabric pots, galvanized containers, 5-gallon buckets, halved 55-gallon drums, in-ground beds. I have tomatoes growing directly in the ground and in raised beds. We've also started replacing some of the beds that are rotting because most of them have been made from reclaimed wood. So things that we either got from like Craigslist or stuff from projects that we've done here. I grow the garden in a variety of different mediums and I love it so much. It fascinates me how much food can be grown in a container. I think it's fantastic and I think more people should do it, and just having the knowledge that you can grow your food, because anybody can grow plants. It's just having the confidence that you can do it and then preserve it. So just canning that one thing and knowing how to do it is the ultimate prep, especially nowadays. If you are interested in those kinds of things and you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing and joining what we do here. And we love everybody here and we just have so much fun. The weather here today is fantastic. This is an ideal day for me. It is forecasted to be 75 degrees, no humidity. It is just perfect. We don't even have the air conditioning on in the house. We just have the windows open. We did it yesterday too. It is just wonderful. The only complaint I have is the leaves are already starting to fall off of the trees. It's a little early for that. I don't know if it's because it's been kind of dry. We have been teetering on drought conditions, but not quite there. And I'm grateful. We're forecasted to get some rain tomorrow and the next day. So I'm not going to be watering the garden. I'm going to wait and see how it does after it gets some rain from the sky. Check in again to see if anything needs some fertilizer, because I know some of the stuff is probably due for it. If you've been keeping up with our garden harvests, then you've seen what we've been getting from the garden so far. Not as many tomatoes as previous years, but that's okay. I'm thinking they're gonna make a comeback. We're gonna be getting into some tomato harvests, I feel like. I do see some that need to be harvested. I do need to harvest our drying beans, especially if we're gonna be getting rain over the next couple days. So I'm probably gonna do that later today. And I've got some dead bean plants I gotta take out. So I'm gonna probably do that in another video along with another harvest of some stuff. We do have some big projects coming up. One is our greenhouse is here. It's been here since the beginning of the year. I got it as a birthday present for myself, and I got a really good deal on it. So it is here, hopefully not destroyed. It's underneath a tarp. I'm hoping that animals didn't do too much damage to it, but we will see. That will be an unboxing surprise this fall and winter. We have a lot of yard that we need to clean out over here before we build it. We don't have an excavator or a tractor that can help us do this right now, so everything we do is by hand. This whole garden has been built with our hands. We have kiwi vines, apple trees, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, almonds. Then we also had the blueberries, the strawberries, you know, those kinds of berries too. The fruit and nut trees, big thumbs down this year. They did horrible. I was so excited. One of our apple trees was really producing, and we came back from a trip away this past weekend and then all the apples were gone. they're just gone. They didn't look great to begin with. They had some rust spots on them. They just didn't look fantastic to begin with, but I was hopeful I was gonna at least get maybe like 6 or 7 apples from it, and they were all gone by the time I get back. The only thing that I'm still hopeful for is our kiwi berry vines. We grow hardy kiwi berries. I still see them on there. I looked up last year to see when I harvested the kiwi berries, and it looked like it was the end of September. So I'm thinking we're gonna be doing that again this year, maybe. I'm keeping an eye on the size of the berries themselves and trying to feel if they look like they're ready to be picked. I do not see as many as there were last year. The next thing we're gonna go to is the sunflowers. I'm growing several different kinds of sunflowers again this year. Some of them popped up on their own, and I still couldn't figure out what they were. I had started Mongolian Giant, Mammoth, Autumn Beauties. None of the teddy bear sunflowers did well. They sprouted, but then they all died. They looked sickly, which is really sad for me because it's one of my favorites. The zinnias are doing okay, but they're starting to die back because we haven't had much rain, and I tend to hyper focus on making sure I water the stuff that gives us food. Hopefully we're getting some rain tomorrow and the next day to make up for that. We've got some chocolate mint. Yeah, I got it from Lowe's. It's very, very good. It smells so good. I have yet to make a tea with it. And then I've got these Serrano chilies from Dollar Tree that I've been enjoying. They've got some good heat to them. That one's finally starting to turn red, but you can harvest them when they're green. They still taste good. And then these are stringless green pods from Burpee Organics. I have those in a pretty small container. The green stalk is, I really have been not paying attention to it much, and I should be, but I've got some strawberry plants in there and lots of herbs, volunteer tomato plants, sage, basil, and sweet marjoram. Over here is the bushing beans. I had put these ones in, started them back in April, and they are still producing. I'm still getting flowers. These ones are the Tender Green Improved from Dollar Tree, and they are doing fantastic. I've gotten so many beans off of them, and at 33 cents a seed packet, you really can't complain too much, and they do really well. They are not organic. They do sell heirloom varieties at Dollar Tree, but so you'd be able to save the seeds from them. And then the other ones in here are from Hudson Valley Seed Company. I had the Royalty Purple and Provider, and those ones are pretty much done. So I'm going to be cutting these out today. It's yellow crookneck squash from Paige's Seeds, and this plant is amazing. It just kept producing and producing and still producing. I've been spraying some neem oil on these plants to help with the powdery mildew that I've started to notice. It's done really well in this garden bed this year, and we've gotten a lot of squash from it. I've got some more bean plants over here. Early prolific straight neck squash in this bed with the San Marzano tomatoes. And San Marzano tomatoes are really good for canning and sauce. If you're looking for a slicing tomato, it's really not it. Got lots of tomatoes over here. This is one of the beds that needs to be replaced along with these ones over here. But I think we're going to focus on replacing this whole section all the way around. I'm going to have to start pricing it out. I harvested, last week, I think, a large Dr. Weishy's tomato. This one, it says cream sausage tomato, but that looks much larger than the other ones that are growing on the other side of the garden. That's pretty cool. My Abe Lincoln plant isn't really doing great, but I see some healthy growth here. Small tomato. I'm hoping it makes a comeback. Underneath, I've got cucumbers. These are the New York Slicing 264 cucumber. I'll show you in a little bit. The cucumber bed is looking pretty terrible, and I plant things all around our garden just as kind of backup. Gotten 3 cucumbers off of this plant already, and there's more growing, and it's doing well. It's also shading out the base of the tomato plants so they don't get dried out too much. And over here I have 2 oxheart plants. Manda, if you're watching. I've got the upstate oxheart from Hudson Valley Seed Company and the pink oxheart from M.I. Gardner. And the pink oxhearts were the ones that I grew first a long time ago, and I love them. These ones aren't a great example of what they look like, but they get very big, and they are in the shape of like an cow heart or ox heart, but they're very meaty, little to no gel or seeds in them. And I just really love them. They're great for canning and making sauces, but they're also fantastic slicing tomatoes to eat fresh. I ended up trying the upstate oxheart, and these ones are red, and they get huge. I was looking at pictures of tomatoes that we grew when I've weighed tomatoes in the past, if I had any pictures in my phone, and I found an oxheart one that was just under a pound, I think. And then there was some Abe Lincoln ones that were 1.5 pounds and more. These tomatoes get very, very big. An old German tomato and Brandywine. And then I had started some more pole beans over here. And these ones sprouted. I don't know where the other ones went, but those ones sprouted. I got Crimson Giant. This is a Rosso Sicilian sucker plant. And then the spoon tomatoes. If you have not tried spoon tomatoes, they are so good. And it's from Baker Creek, this variety. And I originally got it as a free seed packet a long time ago. I don't grow them like normal tomatoes where you might grow them a little bit separate. I grow a whole bunch of them because they're tiny micro tomatoes that are very, very sweet, and they're delicious. Behind me, this is the volunteer garden bed. I have carrots that I've been slowly harvesting from. I had beans and kohlrabi in here, but those are all done. Right now it's just cherry tomatoes that came up on their own. These tomato plants keep getting worms on them. I'm thinking it's all the weeds behind this bed. A lot of the tomatoes that I keep getting off of it have worm damage, but these are an Opelka tomato. I use them as canning tomatoes. The oregano is due to be harvested from. I've got La Roma tomatoes in here that are doing great. I would like to get the oregano plant out of here, maybe freshen up the whole bed if I'm not able to replace it. And behind this bed, we actually have some acorn squash growing. There's one and another one down there. Under here we have the Blue Lake pole beans. On this side, however, the purple potted pole beans aren't really representing for how they normally do, which is why I started more on the other side. I'm thinking it's all the weeds. I've really got to clear this whole thing out. In a recent video, you saw me start a bunch of different seeds that aren't normally started this late in the gardening season here. Those are the August Ambrosia watermelons. I got those started. And our peppers. If you remember at the beginning of the season, I think some of you guys also were experiencing stunted pepper plants. They've made a comeback. I'm very happy with the peppers we're getting this year, and they're doing very good. I've harvested quite a bit already, and they're thick walled bell peppers, and they're delicious. So I've got a few different varieties in there, and I've got some purple ones growing. The potatoes aren't, I started these, I don't remember, maybe in June, and they're not doing that great. I might end up just digging them out and replacing them. Here is our hot pepper bed. A few different varieties of jalapenos and a massive Coco Zell zucchini plant that just keeps going. It wasn't my plan to do this year, but it's just kind of how it happened. And I'm hoping that it either continues producing or I'm just going to cut it out. So back here we have Craig's Grande jalapenos. These are the pumpkin spice jalapenos, so they turn orange. These ones are the early jalapenos from M.I. Gardner, and then I've got Black Magic F1 jalapenos from High Mowing Organic Seeds. These are poblanos that aren't really doing great, probably because there's an enormous zucchini plant shading them out. And then there's some other peppers like the Fresno chili here. In a recent video, you saw Steve and I working on our brassica bed, so you kind of saw what it's looking like. I left a broccoli plant in here and it fell over, but it's redirected itself. So I'm gonna leave it and see what it does. We've got kale growing, cauliflower in there, some cabbages, Brussels sprouts. I don't know if you can see, but there are Brussels sprouts growing. I'm very excited. I've never gotten a Brussels sprout plant to the point where it actually starts producing Brussels sprouts. Our blueberry plants are long done. One of the plants in the middle died. And fortunately, I have other plants that I have dug up around or saved. That plant is gonna go here. And then I have these two plants that are small that I'll probably just stick in also. These are the Amish paste tomatoes. They're doing really well compared to how they were for a little while. They were very stunted, and I came over here and cleaned out all the weeds. But Amish paste are my favorite to cook sauce with. Behind me, I've got a bunch of other tomatoes growing. We have giant Belgium. They're doing beautifully. I've got a sucker plant in here. And then these are brown sugar tomatoes. And there is a pineapple tomato in here that is huge. Look at this thing. It's enormous. And there's another one right here, but this one is enormous. These are pineapple tomatoes, and I have it right in the ground, and I got these in here much later than I did the rest of the garden. I know I'm going to be weighing some of these because they are huge. These are Comstock sauce and slice. I know this one is. I'm not sure what this one is. And then this one's Valencia tomato from Serenity, and from what I'm looking at, kind of reminds me of the Mountain Princess tomatoes. The bed. This should have cucumbers everywhere, growing over the trellises. They're mostly dead. They did not do well. I've had shade cloth and I've done all sorts of things to help the cucumbers this year, and it just is not doing well. I've got a Black Beauty zucchini plant in here that's doing pretty good. It's hanging in there. And then right next to it, I've got silver slicer cucumbers. Those are the white cucumbers. I've gotten a few of them. There's one here that can be harvested. Originally, the plants that I had in here, they all died. And then I threw a bunch more seeds in. So I don't even know how many plants are growing. I typically grow cucumbers 3 plants together. Just always works out better for me that way. I've got ground cherries in here. And I started more seeds and I showed it in a video. None of the Boston pickling ones sprouted. Not one. And then the handful of homemade pickles cucumbers that I put in here, I've got one. So we'll see what we got. I have marigold plant in here. The parsnips, I am just having horrible time with. That's nothing new though. Something I've always struggled with. So at the advice of my friend Manda, and from what I'm understanding, I'm going to be buying new seeds, starting the seeds in here, and then covering this and making sure that the soil doesn't dry out. And then once they sprout, removing the cover off the top of it. I had Chicago pickling cucumbers here that I was getting a decent amount from, but those have all died. And then this is Green 18 F1 cucumber. I got a couple really nice ones off of it recently. Rosella cherry tomatoes. Love the volunteer plants. And then in there, it's the Marketmore cucumber that usually does well for me. I think this is my 3rd year growing it, but this year, not so much. I've got a baby bear pumpkin. I'll show you in a second where that plant is coming from. some fabric pots. These beans I'm probably going to cut out today. They're the golden wax bush beans. They did very good for me in this fabric pot, but they're done, so I'll probably be cutting those out later. And then I've got carrots, Mountain Princess tomato plant that I've been harvesting from, more carrots, lots of empty space I'm seeing for me to start more things. And then I've got this massive eggplant. I'll be harvesting that one today. I've got a pink oxheart sucker plant in there with carrot seeds that I started, but I'm pretty sure they probably dried out. So I would be surprised if any of those sprouted. Some dwarf tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes from Homegrown Seeds. In this 5-gallon bucket, these are Bonnie Best tomatoes from Baker Creek. And they really are some of my favorite tomatoes to grow. They're not huge, they're just a classic slicing tomato. I really like them, but I got them in this 5-gallon bucket here with a tomato cage, and they're doing fantastic. So that baby bear pumpkin that I showed you is coming all the way back here into this bed with the beans. That's where it is. And it's got another shoot going that way, and there's another pumpkin in there. Here is one of the new Vago garden beds that we put in this year, and I've got these Jacob's cattle beans. They're drying bean, so I'm going to be harvesting these today. And then this is the handful of honey nut squash seeds. These were seeds that I saved in 2023, and I was frustrated because none of the regular butternut squashes grew, and I had started more seeds. Definitely have to thin that back, but I'm gonna let them do what they're gonna do for a little bit. Strawberry bed that needs some assistance. A volunteer ground cherry plant that I probably should not have allowed to grow. We've got sweet potatoes and some sort of wild berry that sprouted in here from the ground. And lots of cherry tomatoes in this bed here. Costata romanescas, I think. Several fabric pots here. We've got Rosso Sicilian tomatoes from Serenaseed, some Mountain Princess, a Dr. Weishies that's looking pretty large. I've got 2 sugar baby bush watermelon plants in here. I transplanted seeds and things. They all died, and then I started a handful of seeds on the other side of the garden and separated some of them out to over here. They're growing. We've got a watermelon here and one underneath. So really need to get some rain today, or I'm gonna have to water this in. We've got another eggplant, and then another Abe Lincoln tomato. Also not doing great, but it's alive and producing, so we will see. And then a couple 42-day tomato plants. And some more cream sausage tomatoes. These ones were recommended to me from somebody on here, and I really like them so far. I haven't tried them yet. I haven't tasted them. Early prolific straight neck squash. And this is where the Long Island cheese pumpkin is starting. I've also got ginger growing. I saved some fresh organic ginger from the grocery store, and I got them to start to bud inside, and then I transplanted them out here, and I didn't think they were gonna make it, but they're growing. I've never grown ginger before. Don't know what I'm doing. We will see what we get. I love fresh ginger. It's so good for you, and it would be really awesome to be able to grow some of my own. Here is one of the spaghetti squash and the other. These things are huge. Oh man, is that heavy. I don't think cameras do some things justice with how big that is. There are some of the Long Island cheese pumpkins. underneath. Let's see if I can walk through here. I've got cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes growing. Some kale that I pretty much use this plant for the chickens. Here's the kiwi vines. And I've got pimento peppers. This one's the red ruffled pimento. Oh no! So we've got the lipstick pimento and the red ruffled pimento peppers. A green machine zucchini with Swiss chard has made a comeback after the rabbit got in here. The fencing's worked out well. I've got beans that I started on July 5th in this galvanized container and over here. And they're starting to produce. This is a Jacoby little pumpkin plant, and there's little pumpkins everywhere. There's at least 12 pumpkins that I can see. And there's also beans growing. More fabric pots over here. They're smaller. I've got this Mad Hatter pepper. I had a zucchini plant in here, but I cut it out because it was dead. And that's a Long Island cheese pumpkin, habanero pepper, and artichoke. Roma tomatoes fell over, but it's okay. I'm just gonna leave it for now. And then there's, I think that's an August ambrosia watermelon growing. Galvanized container of those berry basket strawberries. And then these are bush beans I started on July 30th. I had a couple yellow squashes, little plants that weren't doing that great. And I was like, I'm just gonna throw them in here. And then there's more bean plants. Then I have volunteer cherry tomatoes. I think they're Rosella because that's what grew over here one year. And then I've got these Ukrainian purple tomatoes. That was also a suggestion from somebody. So that is what it is. It's a Rosella cherry tomato. Cool. That is it for the garden tour for August 2025. Everything's just kind of doing okay this year, with the exception of the squash plants and the pepper plants. But I gotta go in and make lunch, and then I will be coming back out and harvesting some of the things that we saw here. I'll be sure to add the pepper that I broke off to the basket. That is going to do it though for this video. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today while we took a look at what is growing in our garden, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.